65 toss power trap. That might pop wide open, Reds.
Kansas City Chiefs absolutely phenomenal. Welcome back in, everybody, to another episode of the TBT podcast. Your Kansas City Chiefs got it done versus the Cincinnati Bengals in Kansas City. With me, as always, Zach. Zach, how you feeling? New year, starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs W.
Hopefully it's New Year, new Chiefs. Hopefully we
Right.
revert back to our 2022 ways or maybe early 2023 ways. So
Yeah. Chiefs, hopefully, like you said, a new year, new Chiefs. Uh, and that's really what we're going to talk about is new year, new Chiefs, new formula. What we saw on Sunday, can that type of formula, that type of look we saw from Kansas City get them deep into the playoffs, potentially back to a Super Bowl? What are some of your first initial thoughts coming out of this game for Kansas City?
well, first off, some guys that looked Pacheco looked great. He looked
Hmm.
fast. Our O-line was doing a good job opening up holes where he could just get like through the between the tackle and the guard and really just, show off his speed. There was at least three, probably 20-yard runs in there, which Pacheco's always good running back, but we don't really get those explosive runs that some other teams get. I feel like we're more just like a type of grind team, but Pacheco looked great. Mahomes looked great for the most part. And Rashee Rice is just every week he just gets better and better. And I remember a few weeks ago, you said that your hot take for the rest of the year was that Rashee Rice was going to get that 1,000 yards. And
Hmm.
I told you I said that was not going to happen. So I mean, he needs 62,
62 yards.
62 to
Yeah,
get 1,000.
yeah, to get 1,000. So it depends. We'll talk a little bit more about that and if some guys play the last week of the season, which I think maybe, it would be good for some of those guys to play, but we'll get more into that here in a minute. But yeah, some of the things you brought up is Pacheco. And that's kind of the main thing I want to bring up is we didn't even really know Pacheco was going to be out there come game time, but came out there and absolutely balled out. I think what we saw from Kansas City this week kind of has to be the formula going forward. The only thing that I would kind of change from this game was early on they were just bad on third down. That's where I feel like Kelsey has kind of looked lost these last couple of weeks. He's kind of just always on the sideline, kind of just always looking like he's just depleted, tired, lost. And that's the only thing I would say right now for the Chiefs is they could really start using Kelsey on third down. Like Pacheco's doing a good job of, like we said, like where you kind of have to go to like this Tom Brady, Alex Smith esque, like run the ball, like get on third down and just be like really good quarterback on third down. And they're kind of running the ball, and Pacheco's doing a good job of keeping it like 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and then like a guy just not getting open over the middle, or you have MVS, nice crossing route over the middle, and then decides to drop the ball because he's like, I hate you, Patrick Mahomes. So then you have those type of things. But that's my real issue was in this last game is we just weren't effective early on third down. Like I said, I liked how we ran the ball. We ran the ball phenomenal. So that's the thing. If we can run in between the guards, again, our tackles have struggled, but if we could run between the guards and just maul people, and then be better on third down, this team can win games because they were getting the ball, you know, in the 30s, 40s, even in the red zone, but just the field goals.
Yeah, the field goals were rough. I mean, it's not just, red zone, third down. And if you notice, this team, the receivers that we have, do not have that scramble drill chemistry with Mahomes yet. Like, if you were even, especially I was watching Pacheco on one of those last drives where Mahomes is kind of like sprinting towards Pacheco, and Pacheco could easily run forward to try to get that first down before Mahomes throws him the ball. And he stays behind the line of scrimmage, and Mahomes throws it to him, and I think he gets like 1 yard or something. It's just there's
Yeah,
something off when it comes to because they don't really I don't they should understand that they're playing with the best scramble drill quarterback that we've ever seen. Okay,
right.
so it doesn't matter. If you see that he's not sacked and you're done with your route, find open space. And I see our guys just aloof, just standing there after the route's over a lot more than in recent years.
Yeah, and I think Tony Romo's even pointed that out is you're seeing these other teams, even in Baltimore, like as soon as as soon as Josh Allen, even Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, these guys are rolling out. We even saw it with Browning. Like these guys are finding pockets. For some reason, these Chiefs receivers are just stopping. Like they're like, oh, okay, I ran my route. I'm kind of gonna move, but I'm not gonna really run around. Like years prior, didn't matter what receiver we had, they were like, we're playing that backyard football style of football. That football you play when you're playing with your friends and you're just pointing like go over there, you go over there. And that's where it's like with Mahomes this year, it almost like the Chiefs are a lot better, and they've had been a lot better when it's 1, 2, 3. Mahomes, he looks at his first read, not there. Looks at his second read, not there. And his third read, like it's 1, 2, 3, and if not, it's like you either got to run or you got to just give it to your check down. And I think that's what's kind of has to be the formula, because again, we saw in this game when it was like, boom, it was out on time. Boom, it was out on time. There were these receivers, they were able to get the ball in the red zone and kick these field goals. And that's really all you need. Like, I think this is going to be a team where if you want to make a push up, a playoff push, a deep playoff push, you're going to have to just be ugly. Like you're just going to have to be ugly. But if you can just be effective on third down, what we just saw from the Chiefs this game is exactly how they have to bring it each game. If they would, I'm going to be real with you. If they would have just played and ran the ball, because I think it was that when Pacheco had 90 yards, 92 yards, and he had about 8 carries, 7 carries. I'm sitting there with my friend, and I'm thinking, hey, I kind of say to him, I'm like, why isn't he getting the ball more? Like, and then I remember then we passed it 3 times in a row, and I'm thinking, what are we doing? Feed the guy that's killing him. So I think that's where Andy Reid is going to just have to take humble pie and just eat it. I know he likes his burgers, but he's going to have to take a humble pie and eat it and just be like, you know what I've been running and not liking running the ball for years, I can't keep doing that. So as the fireworks pop behind me, but yeah, we're going to have to start getting more fireworks when we run the ball.
Yeah, Pacheco, I mean, he missed 2 games last month. He missed the game against New England and he missed the game against another game. He missed
Buffalo.
2 games. Buffalo, correct.
Buffalo.
And
yeah, so
I remember I was sad. I was like, oh, he's not going to get 1,000 yards. And he's not going to probably because we're locked in that 3rd seed. But he finishes the year with 935 yards on over 4.5 yards an attempt, despite only playing 14 games. Only in a 17-game season, I mean, that's probably almost 1,200 yards. And so he really is filling in the shoes that we haven't been able to fill since Kareem Hunt. That back that we can have do everything and be a dynamic part of the offense. Because really, it's just been like this guy here, this guy here. And so I'm very pleased with how he's played this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is how it's got to be. And like you said, I don't know if he'll play because he is a running back and he's been nicked up. We got to remember he did not really play in that game versus the Raiders. He played in, I think, the first quarter, maybe a little bit in the second, and then he got hurt. That was it. Pacheco was done after that. So really, how many yards would he have? And he's missed 2 games. So he's been a top 10 back in the league. He really has. He's been a top 10 back in the league. If you look at production and yards and everything else, he's been a top 10 back and missing 2 games, like you said. So I think that's what it's got to be. And I know it may be boring. I know, like when you have a Patrick Mahomes, you're thinking, hey, guys, but there's not a single time I want to take the ball and give it to somebody else when I have Patrick Mahomes. I want Patrick Mahomes to have the ball the most because he's Patrick Mahomes. But I think right now you can't really have that mindset. It can't really be where Patrick Mahomes is. And that's the thing that sucks is what makes Patrick Mahomes great is the scrambling ability, is that backyard football type ability. But right now, I think what works best is these underneath routes. And Richie James and Rashid Rice, they're guys that just have quick bursts and can get 15, 10 yards. So that's why I think these checkdowns have to keep working. You have to keep going to them. And like I said, they got to be big on third down. That's where, again, Kelsey, I know he's getting older, but I still feel like Kelsey, there's more for him to go get out there. And if they can do better on third down, this can be a dangerous team come playoff time.
Absolutely, especially the defense year week
Yes,
after week just continues to show that they're legit about this.
right.
I mean, 17 points, seven of them coming
Really
off
10.
of, yeah, exactly. Seven of them coming off of the Bengals
A
starting in the red
turnover.
zone. Yeah,
Hmm.
so like, and this Bengals offense, I mean, this Bengals team was bad last week against Pittsburgh, but
Hmm.
with Browning at the helm, they haven't been a bad team. They've been winning most of their games. And
Hmm.
so I'm especially pleased with the defense. And then from the offense, we saw what we need to see to give us a little faith. It's not there all the
Right,
way yet because we're
right,
still missing red zone. We haven't had red zone all year, honestly.
right.
But we're moving the ball, and that's half the battle there. So
And that's really what I kind of was getting to today. Is for if you want, and I know we still had Chiefs fans. Oh, the field goals, and we only made field goals. How are we going to win a Super Bowl if we're only making? Relax, relax. It's not going to just go like this. If you can get by even your first game in the playoffs, we're going to talk about the playoff stream here in about a minute or two. Right now, the way things can match up, you may have to play a Colts or a Houston Texans team in the first round. If you can get past a team like that, then you got to go to like. There's a way where the Chiefs you're looking at and the road to the back to the AFC Championship game. Yes, you may have to go on the road to a Baltimore somewhere, but again, guys, the Chiefs can get back to an AFC Championship game because of what we saw on Sunday, the formula, the type of game plan they can have going forward should be what they had on Sunday. Minus again a hiccup in that first quarter, giving them that touchdown off the short porch. Remember, we talked about this. Is the Chiefs defense has been so damn good that it stops people. And I know they struggled at first. They gave up the field goal, and then they gave the touchdown. But really, after that, that other touchdown, that other 7 points, I kind of put that on the offense. That was basically a pick six. That
yeah.
was almost the offense giving them the ball and saying, "Here you go." Because again, Mahomes got stripped, and they were right there at the 40-yard line, 30-yard line, and
And
they
also
needed 30 yards.
also that's not on Wanye because if you watch that, Mahomes dropped back ridiculously far. Like
Right.
Wanye, the guy had to go around him completely, and he still had a direct path to Mahomes because Mahomes took like 7 drops back despite being in the shotgun.
Right.
So, yeah, I just want to put that out there because I was watching some of the film and I was like, that's pretty far, Mahomes. Like, I don't know what you expect out of your tackles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's like I said, there are some things again they have to clean up. Like I said, there is still some of the body language. There's still some of again, just that type of like arguing on the sidelines that they do need to kind of get rid of. But again, this is another opportunity where again, if back to back weeks you go out there, I know you may say, well, it's the Chargers, who cares, this, that, and the other. The other teams, if I'm not mistaken, you just had Miami go one. There's only one team, like I said, that has been dominated right now. That's the Ravens. That's the Ravens. And there's still question marks for them once they get into the playoff. Can they win a playoff game? As we all know that they've had their struggles in the playoff. Buffalo Bills have not looked good the last 2 weeks, folks. Newsflash. They have not looked good the last 2 weeks. The Patriots, by no means, and I know the Chiefs have not looked great either. The Patriots, by no means, are not a good team. When you struggle versus a team like the Patriots, when you struggle versus a team like the Chargers, who are literally trying to tank and are on their last leg, and back to back weeks, you're skimping by in the fourth quarter. I don't want to hear this whole, hey, the Bills are hot. Are the Bills finding ways to win? 100%. I will give you that. But I will not sit here and say the Buffalo Bills have looked good. I will not. Ever since the Dallas game, they have not looked like a good team. But the last 2 weeks, they have struggled for sure versus two mediocre teams. Have the Chiefs struggled? Yes, but I'm calling a strike a strike. The Buffalo Bills are another team you want to say who's getting hot. Miami Dolphins are dropping games. So there's still a lot of teams in the AFC who, again, are not playing their best ball. And it's anyone's game right now. Even with the Ravens, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, no one outside of Baltimore looks like sure they're playoff teams. Miami is running into a lot of injuries, and Tua has not looked the same the second half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense is not near as efficient. I mean, it was historic efficiency wise to begin the year. And now, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's still probably in that top 3 range with like San Francisco, but it's not what it was before. the Jaguars are frauds, but we knew that well before everyone else did. And we
Hmm.
knew that well before they started losing games. When they were winning games, we knew
Yeah,
they were frauds. The Colts, their quarterback is Gardner Minshew. Okay, so I
right.
really okay, wait, I have a question for you, Jaden. Who do you want to run into in that 3-6 matchup out of all the teams that we can run into?
Yeah, so I love that question because that's literally brings us into what we're talking about with the playoffs. It's got to be the Colts, and I know like for some Chiefs fans they're like, because if you're a Chiefs fan, you've been around a while. I shouldn't say it. We'll say the L word, Len Elliott. I had to say it. I know I just brought every old Chiefs fan bad memories from the '90s. You have the Len Elliott game. You have the 2003 no punt game. You have the 2006, 2013. All those games with the Colts and the Chiefs losing to the Colts in the playoffs. But let's be real. If you're a perfectly reasonable human being and you have the Colts going into Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs, you just hate the Chiefs. That's okay. You just hate the Chiefs, but that's okay. I know how bad it's been for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, I don't see them at Arrowhead in the playoffs losing to the Colts with Gardner Minshew. So it's got to be Gardner Minshew. And then you kind of look at the rest of the bracket, the way the things can kind of pan out. You may not even have to run into the Bills. Neither. The only real team you would have to kind of worry about is Cleveland or Miami. You'd have to go to Miami and play Miami, which, as a Florida resident and someone who lives in Florida, that stadium would be half Chiefs fans. I can tell you that right now. That stadium would be half Chiefs fans there in Miami.
Let me tell you what I want to happen, okay? And it is not, I do not want the Bills to miss the playoffs under this one condition, okay? There's a scenario where Buffalo goes to Miami again for the second week in a row. We play, pretty sure it's either the Colts or the Texans, okay?
It
In
would be
that
one of
scenario,
those two.
yeah, we play the Colts and the Texans, okay? Like you just explained the Colts, like they shouldn't come in here and win. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but they shouldn't come in here and win.
Correct, correct.
Neither should the
If
Texans.
you're a betting man, you're
Yeah,
not going for the other team. If you're a betting
exactly.
man.
And normally you'd be like, okay, you want Buffalo to miss the playoffs because they're dangerous because they have Josh
Mm-hmm.
Allen, who is the second best quarterback in the league. But then you think about it, they get the 7th seed, they go to Miami. Okay, let's say Miami wins a second game in a row against the same team, which,
Yeah,
probably
that's
not going to
hard.
happen. That's
That's
hard to
hard.
do. That's hard to do.
Either and real quick, I'll say that too is they play on Sunday night, right? So if the Bills beat the Patriots, right, they get that 2 seed, which I know you're getting in the 7 seed, but whatever team wins, it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but it's also hard to beat a team back to back.
Yeah, true. And so that's why I want Buffalo to beat Miami. That's why we want Buffalo to beat Miami. Then Buffalo has to go to Baltimore because they're that 7th seed. And look, we get the winner of the Jags versus Cleveland game. Okay. Look at that path right there. Colts or Texans, Jags or Cleveland, and then Baltimore or Buffalo. And if it's Buffalo, we have a home Arrowhead Invitational again. And so I am hoping so hard for that because that would be I don't want to say a walk in the park because we're not that dominant team
Mm-mm,
we were,
mm-mm.
but
I would
that's
play the Bills again, 100%.
I
I'm not going to sit there and again. It would be a close game, come down to the wire, but you don't turn over the ball in the playoffs. If the Chiefs cannot have like they did versus the Bengals, and minus that other fumble, if they don't turn over the ball, the Chiefs, I promise you, Chiefs fans, I promise everyone listening to this podcast, look at me. The Chiefs are going to make a deep playoff run if they do not turn the ball over during the playoffs. 100%. 100%.
that
They have the
that's
defense to do it.
that's a big ask because we have the worst turnover differential
Correct.
in the league. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying?
And
So
and, and
no,
that is.
if that's true, I agree with you. If we don't turn the ball over, I agree with
If
you.
the if they stop the turnovers, where again it's and even if it's the turn, if they throw a pick and it's down the field and it's like, oh, we threw a pick and it was at the 20, I like, then you know what our defense is going to do. They're going to stop somebody. But the problem is we're like, hey, here you go, Raiders. Go score with 7 seconds twice in a row. Here you go, Bengals. Let's get like that's what they're doing. They're getting turnovers on their own side of the field. So it's giving teams short porches to go score. But yeah, I think I saw this scenario is you have, so if the Dolphins go and they beat Buffalo and Jacksonville and Pittsburgh wins, Buffalo's out. Obviously,
Yep.
if the Texans lose, now obviously there's other scenarios, but the most simplest scenario is if the Jags win, who the Jags play the Titans, which they'll probably end up winning. You have the Pittsburgh is playing the Ravens, who, if I'm the Ravens, I want Mason Rudolph in there rather than having Joe Burrow in there. So I'm throwing Josh Johnson out there. I'm throwing Tyler Huntley out there. And I'm throwing my reserves out there. And I'm putting Mason Rudolph into the playoffs. So if they win, then Miami wins. You could have a playoffs where you're not even having to play Buffalo, where it comes down to, can you get past a backup quarterback, and then can you get past Tua and probably Lamar Jackson? That's what you're asking. Get past Tua again, or a team you've already played, and then get past Lamar.
Yeah,
Get
that's the
past
great
Lamar.
that's the great part about having that 3 seed. The latest, I mean, the earliest we can play the Ravens, the only round we can play the Ravens in is that AFC Championship game. It's impossible otherwise. And as we look at the 7 or 8 teams that we could end up going against, they don't scare us. Even the teams that, I mean, there's only one team that beat us this year out of those teams is Buffalo. They don't scare us, just like you mentioned. So,
and a lot of people may listen to this and think, that that's just not the case. What are you watching in that game? And if you play there, they play a second time, where you sit there and you say the Chiefs defense was getting destroyed in that game. You can't. The only thing you can say is, yeah, the Chiefs offense had to fumble it off the 45-yard line, throw an interception at the 45-yard line, and then get an offsides. Like, I don't think Bills fans are realizing how much shit had to go their way for the Chiefs to lose a game by a point, or what was it, by 3 points.
Hey, you're convincing me. I didn't even think about
Are we putting that in perspective? Those things that all had to go their way for his foot, a size 13 shoe, for them to win a game. Like, we're sitting here every week and we're like, Buffalo is hot. Bailey Zappi was 6 points away from beating Josh Allen. And he still threw 3 interceptions. So I'm done with this whole Buffalo is hot. Is Buffalo finding ways to win? Yes. Is Buffalo playing bad? Yes. Buffalo and the Chiefs are the same team. Is Stephon Diggs playing good football?
Now he's getting clamped. That's a seatbelt.
He's getting clamped up. Okay. Is Cook playing pretty good football? He's running the ball. He's running the ball. Okay. Well. Yeah. Okay. Is the Bills defense playing pretty good?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. What is the difference between what I just said about the Bills and what I just said about the Chiefs? Their running back is playing good football. They have a great quarterback, and they have a good defense. And the receivers are playing like trash. Gabe Davis, love Gabe Davis. He's an Orlando guy. But Gabe Davis ain't doing shit. You have none of the receivers are doing anything. But it's like we look at the Bills, and then we get on ESPN, and we're like, Buffalo Bills are so good. Where have you watched with your last 2 eyes, and they go up against Easton Stick and Bailey Zappi, and you go,
Easton Stick just sounds like a baseball bat.
It is. It's a baseball bat, man. It's a baseball bat. He should be playing baseball. But that's where I'm just kind of out right now. Is I know I had my Jaden rant of today, but how are the Bills, and you have eyes, and how are the Chiefs different? Because the Chiefs are turning the ball over. I'll give you that. That's where the difference is. The Chiefs are turning over the ball. They're not finding ways to win. While the Bills are finding ways to win at the last minute. But we're acting like the Bills are right there with the Ravens, and it's Bills-Ravens AFC Championship. Get it there on the promo because they're coming into this game just 5-0, and they've played the best football for the last 6 games. Not a chance. I will not sit here and say that, but I will admit, hey, they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, and even down to our record, I mean, we looked at them mid-season like what's happening in Buffalo when they were 6-6. And that's crazy because I mean, at the time we were probably like 10-2, probably, or not
Right.
10-2, probably like 8-3 or something. So we were laughing at them, and now we're right there with them. So like you're right. You convinced me of their fraudum, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? We are the same, and we are in kind of the same boat.
Correct. And that's what I don't want to say. This isn't me saying like The Bills are going to get smoked by the Dolphins. The Bills are going to get smoked by the first round. But you do, and this is what I want to get to Bills fans because this is going to be on TikTok, Instagram. If you go and you beat Miami, you beat them twice. You show me where, besides maybe last year where the 49ers skimped past the Seahawks, beating them 3 times. You beat a team 3 times in a row in the NFL. The Bengals, the Bengals. And that's what makes so impressive what the Bengals did is they beat them 3 times in a row. But again, the Bengals needed a lot to go their way each time they played the Chiefs and those things happen. But it's not often where you have a team and you go beat a team 3 times in a calendar year.
Yep.
It's very hard to do.
And they need
I'm sorry, excuse me. The
anything.
Chiefs, I don't even think the Bengals have ever even done that. I think they beat the Chiefs twice in a calendar year. Excuse me, they've never even beat the Chiefs 3 times in a calendar year. They beat the Chiefs twice in a calendar year. But if you're the Bills and you say, hey, we're going to win on Sunday, guess who you got to play the very next week again?
Same team.
The same team. That's hard to do. Like I said, it's very rarely where you see a back-to-back a team win, a plus where a team got embarrassed. You may say, hey, Miami's banged up. Miami's this. I would not put it past the Miami Dolphins to come out hot Sunday night. When you get embarrassed like that by a team, the first thing you want to do is just get right back to playing. I know me, even when I was a player, when you get blown out like that, the very first thing you want to go do is just get out there and play. So I think it's going to be a big game. It's going to be a big game. We may have something planned up and coming for the TBT podcast for that game where we just kind of go over that game. We're going to have some people during the playoffs talk about that game. Zach, is there any of the last thoughts you hear as we kind of wrap up this show about the Chiefs game and about the playoffs coming up?
Well, the Chiefs game, it was pretty encouraging, I'd say, because we moved the ball and we always underperform in the red zone during the regular season compared to what we do in the playoffs. And so I'm going to give Andy Reid and Mahomes some grace and be like, okay, well, just do what you always do. Go get because it's rare we actually get field goals in the playoffs. We go and get touchdowns. Like Mahomes puts up stupid numbers in the playoffs. And so just go get touchdowns in the playoffs and I'll let this all slide. When it comes to playoff seeding, I'm happy with whatever as long as we don't play Buffalo. And I know you just explained how Buffalo's a fraud, but I would much rather play Pittsburgh or Indianapolis or Houston. Or actually do anything. I don't want Miami either. I don't want them either.
So. Right. And the thing is, guys, if you look at how it's structured, if Miami or if like I just said, if Jacksonville and Pittsburgh wins and Miami wins, so if those things happen, those 3 teams win, Buffalo is most likely out. There is some other things that goes to that, but that's just the simplest format. But if one of those teams lose plus Buffalo wins, then guess what? Buffalo will be the first seed, or the second seed, or they'll be the 7th seed. So you're most likely not going to have to play Buffalo in the first round anyways, unless you have a bunch of teams lose and it kind of gets mixed up. But the simplest thing is we're not going to play Buffalo in the first round. You will not play Buffalo in the first round unless, again, Colts and Texans tie. You have all those other things that kind of Pittsburgh loses to a bunch of backups. So it's kind of, you need a lot of things to happen for the Kansas City Chiefs to play Buffalo in the first round. But like you said, the Kansas City Chiefs have had their struggles, but come playoff time, you do have to put some, faith in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. They had the formula. Then that's what this podcast really today is about, is the formula is there. This next game, you have the formula. Now you just have to execute the plan, the secret formula. We just don't need anyone stealing it like in SpongeBob. What is the guy in SpongeBob who tried to steal the formula?
Plankton.
Plankton. We don't need no planktons. Yes. We don't need any plankton trying to steal our secret formula. Run the ball, play good defense, and Patrick and Andy we trust because we want to be eating cheeseburgers by the Super Bowl. We want to give Andy Reid a nice big fat cheeseburger. So make sure you guys comment below. Make sure you guys comment here on YouTube what you guys think of the podcast and what you guys think of the playoff picture, what you guys think is going to go down. But until next time, guys, we will see you on the TPT podcast.